My name is Elsi Lyons, and I'm half of the Lyons duo, which is Edward Lyons, my husband. And he knows that I'm always looking for positive energy, good vibes. So he actually found Connect Community on Instagram because he was following Jessica and Peter Chichester from Whole Healing Oasis. So he told me that we should come here, and he's not really that kind of person. So it was interesting because he's like Bruce Banner. He's the Bruce Banner of the Hulk, right? So, when you see him, he's just not the type of person to be like, let's go to church, right? I didn't expect that. But I'm very glad that he did. So I've been a part of Connect Community, I want to say a little over 2 years now. 2020, what I thought was, I'm in brand development, and I've been in this arena in marketing for quite some time now. I want to say over 15 years. So I am at a point of teaching. So in the beginning of 2020, actually, I was getting ready to launch a new course on how to teach others to do what I do. So that was actually my goal. And then COVID hit. At the time, New York was really, really bad. Like, New York was like one of the worst. And my mom lives in the city. She is spunk, that woman, she's a little reckless. So I was so stressed out about her. And I knew she wouldn't want to come to Stanford for a long time. So I didn't know what to do with that. She's 76. So I'm like, what am I going to do with this woman? She's going to church, she's in that demographic. So I ended up telling her, listen, I want you to just stay with us for 2 to 3 days. At that point, I had rearranged my office. I bought a new bed. I'm like, I'm kidnapping her. And my husband, Edward, was like, are you sure? I was like, I'm so serious. I was like, I don't care if she's going to fight with me, but I can't have her out there when it's getting really bad. She ended up staying with us for, I think it was like 2.5 months. Then on top of that, my son was living in Florida. And then Miami got really, really bad too. So that was difficult in itself because he was at a new position where I couldn't even contact him. So I couldn't speak to him for like 30 days. Wow. During the whole like March, April, when it was at its worst. So those moments are still very fresh because they were very, just like a lot of other people, just a lot of changes. I mean, it was my son. Definitely that was the hardest part, not knowing if he was okay, not knowing if he was safe, not knowing if he was okay, just having to navigate here, working, handling everybody else's stress and trying to be okay with that in my head was the hardest. And then I'm always the strongest person. And, when you have a business, you can't really be that person that says I'm having a bad day because everyone else at that time needed so much help too, right? So it's like I had to try to juggle between I need a break and I want to shut down just to make sure that my mental health was okay. But I couldn't do that because I didn't want to let others down and I didn't want their business to suffer. So those were the hardest moments. Was I just wanted to focus and hear from him, make sure he was okay. And he's a young man, so I'm sorry guys, but sometimes he's like, wash your hands. Did you use antibacterial? Do you have masks? Do you put gloves on? That kind of thing. I also work with the nonprofit, so that was hard. It's a nonprofit for homeless men. So worrying about their safety too and getting that message out there. Well, a lot of what got me through, honestly, it was Connect Community. The support that you would give and just calling and just emailing. It's like, what do you need? It was always like, what do you need? Are you okay? There was never a, we need this, we need that. And I remember just letting you guys know that I was having a hard time with my son and locating him and just stressed out about that and just making sure that he was okay. And you guys would have people from the community just call and just pray with me. There was one time that I was going to the bank and I received a call and she was like, do you mind if I pray with you and pray for you? And I was like, absolutely. And I was like, of course, in tears the way that I am now, but those are the moments that really kind of got me through and say, okay, I can do this. And just listening to your messages and things like that. And there were moments that I just thought I was going to break down. I was like, I'm not making it. Like, I'm just really not going to make it. Especially when it came to my son and just trying to do my best to really make sure he was okay. And I remember the day that I finally heard from him. I mean, my entire soul just kind of broke. And I knew that God was there because I didn't have many more days without hearing him before me really losing my mind. So that was just such a blessing. So it's crazy because it's just like not probably your typical blessings the way that people say or how they feel that God is in their life, But honestly, even especially now, like it is a real blessing that I'm able to now speak my truth, and the way that I even want to make sure that I interject my business with some of the learnings because of the racial, injustice, and how I want to give back a little bit more now. It just wasn't in my thought process in the beginning of the year where it is now. Like, I know moving forward, there's certain things that I just want to do to give back versus getting, or just doing for money or things like that. So that's definitely, I think God speaking through me in that. Yeah, honestly, it's, I'm so thankful that I've been able to spend this much time with my mom. She's 76, she's strong, but life is life, right? And even though she's not staying with me anymore now, it's a habit where I go to her every, 4 to 6 weeks, and I'm spending a week with her, making sure she's okay, hanging out with her, spending time with her, making sure that she's not reckless out there without a mask, shopping and being a very a New Yorker. But just focusing back on my family has been the biggest blessing. Really, what I would share with people is to not give up, but not give up in different aspects, right? Because it could have been very easy for me to just check out of Connect Community altogether because I physically wasn't there, right? But I made it a point to go on and on their YouTubes, and if you guys were present, I was like, oh, let me grab my coffee. My mom and I would sit there, Edward would sit there right before he went to gym. So if I know that if it wasn't for those moments of just listening to what you all were sharing, that it wouldn't, I don't know if I would have really have survived as much, in peace. So just not to give up, keeping on with the routine, and just sticking through to things because they definitely work out eventually,